Hey guys, so I got a pretty good upgrade. For a while I've been using this really box standard small upside down Army Painter wet palette. This thing is very basic, very small, as you can see. Really basic design, and I've put it through the paces. As you can tell, I've had this thing for probably about a year or two, maybe. And it's done pretty good. It has its flaws and its pros and its cons, but other than that, it's been good. But about February, I think, of 2024, I came across an ad for Kickstarter for, I think it said the Exemplar wet palette returns. So I don't know if they were reworking it or what. And you could pledge, and it came across with, I guess, inspired by or sponsored by or whatever, endorsed rather, by several larger name YouTube personalities that do miniature painting stuff. Ninja, I think Goobertown. There are probably several others that I can't remember. It's been a while. Each one had a little side gimmick that came with it. But I ordered the Ninja one because, one, I like Ninja, and two, this one came with a dry brush palette, and I figured I'd try it out. Never tried one. So these are done by Game Envy. Now the outside of it, it's good and solid. It's got a little bin here. This came with a well palette, I guess you could call it. I put a couple of brushes in here. It's got a little vent flap here. You can either seal this up, keep the air out of it, keep it from drying out your sponges, or you can let it free and let it kind of slowly dry out over time. Just a way to kind of keep the mildew and stuff out of it. The Army Painter one, I work a weird shift, so I'm usually gone from work, or gone to work rather, 48 hours or 72 hours at the time. So that means if I leave my house on Friday morning, I will not come back to my house until Monday morning. Sometimes you forget to leave your wet palette open or whatever like that, or you forget to take the paper out, let it air out, take the sponge out, whatever, you know, you're in a rush. You're old like me, you forget. And you come back and it's all mildewy and stuff, so you gotta wash it, clean it really good. This kind of eliminates that or takes it down a notch, because you can control how much air gets in. Do you want it to be all the way dry? By the time you get back, you just leave it open. If you want it to stay wet, you close it up. Halfway between, you can kind of just set this on here and it'll kind of slow roll the air into it. We've got these clasps on the sides. These things are tight. They are very well done. They are almost, if not just as snug as the clasp on my, there we go, mechanics tool set. So this thing, as you can tell, is quite a bit bigger than my Army Painter one. Like I said, the Army Painter one is good. It's just really basic. Open this thing up. Your sponges and your paints sit here. You have a gasket around the edges of this thing, so nothing is getting in, no air is getting in once you close this, unless you open up that flap. This has been sitting here for a couple of days with the vent kind of open, and it is still very wet. I like it. I really do. Yeah, I mean, I've left this thing uncovered for hours while I was taking a break from painting. Here recently, I spent, I think it was 11 and a half hours at the painting desk trying to get some towel stuff done. Took a break for a couple of hours, left this thing open, and when I came back, it was still good and wet. The Army Painter one, the sponges are not the best in the world. They're just like little thin sponge pads. So they dry out really quickly. They don't really absorb very well. But again, it's good for starting out. I just wanted an upgrade. Now, onto the gimmick here. Another thing it came with, and I don't know if all of them do, but I know the Ninja did, this dry brush here. I haven't tried this thing out yet. Failing Speed by Game Envy. Okay. Now, this was the dry brush palette. I was expecting a lot more texture than what I got. And this is made out of MDF, so there's that. That's good. Those of you who don't know what a dry brush palette is, it's supposed to be a thing with some texture on it. You get your paint on, you wipe off most of it on a paper towel, and then you just kind of refine it on this thing. Every other one that I've seen has a ton of texture on it, and it's all raised. There's lots of different valleys and stuff like that. This, from camera angle, looks like it might have just that, but the divots and the little indentations here are, I mean, you can almost scrape over it with your fingernail. It's not very deep at all. I would have rather had a better one, I guess you could say. This one is okay, I guess, but it doesn't really perform as well as I wanted it to. That is my only criticism about this, was that. I would have liked to have a more defined dry brush palette. Right now I'm using, like everybody else uses, I'm using paper towels, but I use some pretty expensive paper towels, and you go through a lot of them. So I figured this would be an inexpensive option. I might just take some old bits of sprue and do what everybody else does and glue them to like a pan or something like that, a box, whatever, and it'd probably be better. But yeah, that's that. Do I recommend this? Now, from what I understand, Exemplar wet palettes are now up and available for order on Game Envy. Or they probably have been for a while. I don't know why they said the Exemplar returns on this one. I don't know if they were redoing it or what. But anyway, if you can get one, I do recommend it. Well worth the price. Very well worth the price. Mine came with 2 sponge pads and a pack of the Exemplar paper. And of course the whale palette there. But yeah, I would definitely recommend this. Aside from this right here, but I mean, you can probably find better for fairly cheaper. You can make your own for even cheaper. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thanks for tuning in. Later.